The question becomes, why do we want that much external rotation here? The reason is, at a physical level, it opens the chest. Why do you want the chest to be open like that? So the breath is deeper and freer. Why do you want the breath to be deeper and freer? So the mind can function, the brain can function more. Really. Basically, it's an answer to why do you do yoga practice at all? And if somebody is doing it because their neck hurts or back hurts, it's not wrong. But that's rather a superficial reason. Deeper reason has to be to deal with something that afflicts all human beings, which is the way the brain makes up stories. And the stories are not necessarily wrong per se, but they don't look at the depth of what is going on. And that happens to people because very early on in life, a very simple but very important mistake is made. That mistake begins with me, 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 me. By doing which, you separate yourself from the rest of the living beings, at least rest of humanity. So then life becomes a function of me and the rest, which is, when you create a division like that, you cannot help it but necessarily create a conflict. The fact that if there are waves in the ocean, there are breakers, there are surf, there are smaller waves, there are bigger waves. And if these waves had a mind like humans' mind, they would be fighting with each other. What they forget in the process, in that example, is that the wave may be bigger or smaller. That is to do with its shape, its form, and a label given to it. But the essence of both is water. So to bring that example to the human beings, each human being is an individual and definitely separate, but is made separate by the form, the shape he has or she has, and by a label given to the person. I am Ramanand, this is Andrea. A label. When I was born, I did not have such a label. Somebody gave me that label. But then when it is repeated often, it sticks. So unless I have learned things very carefully, I really literally become Ramanand, Ramanand. And when there is that functioning of me and the rest, then it is my brain that suffers from it. And that suffering registers not only on the brain, but on the surface also, meaning particularly on the forehead. That is at least one reason why in many yoga systems, it is insisted that you keep your forehead soft. We do that in Shavasana. Even if you are not in Shavasana, if you simply take your hands and do this, it feels better. It doesn't cost anything. And that state that I create by doing that to my head should be permanent. If it is not, it means I have a little problem that I have not clearly looked at. That passivity in the forehead should always be there. When you are doing an asana, you definitely want to do it as best as you can. Nothing wrong with it. But in an attempt to do the best you can, you are tightening your forehead. Asana is largely done by the arms, the legs, the rest of the body. It is not done by your forehead. So why does that tension happen? That tension happens, among other things, because you are thinking more, doing less. That tension also happens because you are trying to prove to somebody instead of proving to yourself. I want to lift my chest. The action is here. Lift the chest. Why should this get tense to lift the chest? In my life, I found one simple way out of that kind of problem was to begin to laugh at myself. Laugh at myself meaning I have created an image about who Ramanand is. Laugh at that image to say, oh, you think you're so good. It's funny. Sad and funny.